DaVinci Resolve Dialogue Mixing, Part 2, Noise Reduction.
So we're going to focus a little bit now on noise reduction and why I don't like it. I use it very carefully, and some hangups of kind of how beginners overuse it. As soon as we talk about dialogue, they start asking about noise reduction. And I'm going to challenge you to use the least amount of noise reduction possible. And why do I say that? Because, again, going back to our list, consider why you're doing something. Is the noise so distracting that you can't get into the story? Is it really that bad? If you have a good dialogue edit where everything is smooth and the transitions are good, you won't need noise reduction. Or if you do, you might use just a teeny tiny bit just to clear some of the mud out. So I challenge you to use the least amount possible because it preserves the ambience of the location. It preserves more of the actors' movements and their little details that they do. So just really ask yourself why you want noise reduction. If it's just to sound super clean, I feel like that's the worst possible reason for using noise reduction. What I'm going to do here is, if you want to add noise reduction, I like to add it to the bus because I like to just do a teeny tiny bit. You can add it to every single track. I don't suggest using the dialogue leveler. If you've done a good dialogue edit and you've gain staged everything properly, you are not going to need to use any of the automatic tools in DaVinci Resolve. Again, we're focused on quality with the series and not just ramming content through the pipeline. So don't worry about that. But if you want to add noise reduction, you can add it to the tracks. Or if you're doing bus processing like I'm doing, you can go here. So go to your bus, go to effects, click the plus. And if you go down to restoration, you've got Fairlight effects, noise reduction. If you have third-party plugins, we're going to look at Acon as an example because it's cheap and works really good. That's going to be in VST or AU if you're on Mac. So let's bring up the settings here. And we're going to listen to too much noise reduction, and then I'm going to show you how I like to dial things back. So we'll go here.
500 is a deal. And that's only because that's out of the goodness of your old employer's heart.
So that sound I hear a lot on beginner projects. They just crank everything way up, and it's too clean, and it starts to sound weird. We don't want weird. We want things to sound good. So if I turn the ratio down and I mix in some of the dry sound, we'll just try it at like 60%. So this is going to be 60% processed.
How hard things have been since you left the business.
Well,
and it's important to set the threshold down. Even though we're on auto speech mode, just bring it down to like as low as you can for it to start sounding natural. We don't want any of that weird squirrely digital stuff in there.
PayPal okay? Friends and family, no fees.
whatever. It's the Rainbow 69 420.
Good deal.
So let's now listen to with it disabled, and we'll kind of A/B what the difference it's making is.
500 is a deal. And that's only because that's out of the goodness of your old employer's heart. He knows how hard things have been since you left the business.
Well,
PayPal okay? Friends and family, no fees.
whatever. It's the Rainbow 69 420.
So with the noise reduction enabled, it sounds cleaner, but I don't like the sound. It doesn't sound as full and rich to me. So this is something where I would just not use it. I would say I like the noise. It's trafficky, and once you add some backgrounds, it's going to be totally fine. So that's why I'm challenging you. Don't just immediately go for noise reduction. Just so we can have something to compare it to, though, let's check out a third-party noise reduction. This is called Acon Digital Extract Dialogue. It's something that's used by a lot of professional mixers, and it's way more transparent than the built-in Fairlight one. However, it can still get to that uncanny valley of too much. So let's listen to this with it on, and then I'll toggle it on and off. So watch this button right here.
Wait. Here.
500's a deal. And that's only because that's out of the goodness of your old employer's heart. He knows how hard things have been since you left the business.
Well,
PayPal okay? You know, friends and family, no fees.
whatever. It's Rainbow 69 420.
Good deal. You be sure to tell Sarah hi for us, all right?
So I am attenuating the noise by 12 dB, which is about double what the Fairlight plugin was able to do. And I'm not hearing artifacts. Things still sound rich and full. So this is worth picking up if it's on sale. It's made by Acon. It's called Acon Digital Extract Dialogue. But again, I do prefer the sound of no noise reduction. I'm just a lo-fi, natural kind of guy. So I'm actually going to roll with no noise reduction on this. The reason I'm covering noise reduction before we get to volume automation is if you have the noise reduction on your bus, if you increase the level of these tracks with the VCA or on the actual tracks themselves, you're going to end up changing the threshold of the noise reduction because you're bringing up the source. So that's why you might decide to do things a little bit differently if you have noise reduction on your tracks or your bus. For now, what I want to do is just go and do a quick volume pass on this. The EQ sounds okay. I automated the EQ on that one wireless hit, but overall their voices sound pretty full. So I'm not actually going to go and do too much corrective EQ because, again, going back to this, why are we doing something? The lavs sound full and rich. They don't have that weird mid-range that really cheap lavs do. If they did, I would go to the EQ and just set it for each track without automation. Do this. Usually you have to cut around 500 with like a little bit of a steeper Q. How do I adjust the Q here? I guess you can't. You have to go here. Something like that. But I don't really need to do that. They sound fine. They're consistent. So what I am going to do is do a quick volume ride on this. And if you have a control surface, it's super easy to do it, on all the tracks. But the nice thing about having this VCA is I can do it with the VCA and it's going to affect all the tracks. So this dialogue VCA, which is here and also here, is going to grab all these tracks and bring them up or down based on the fader. So I'm going to do that in real time because this is how we actually mix stuff. And you do it, you just watch it real time and you grab the fader and you move it up and down based on what's being said. Before we ride this fader, I'm going to show you guys how to set up a VCA that controls all of your dialogue tracks. So I've already got this set up in this template. If you want to do it yourself, what you'll need to do is go to Fairlight, VCA assign, and you can see I've got dialogue VCA. I've already renamed that. And it's smart to rename stuff. I don't think you can actually rename it here, which is kind of stupid, but you can rename it here. So you have a VCA track. What you do is you go to VCA in your mixer and you just assign these to dialogue VCA. So you can rename it that way. You do, to see the VCA, I found this out the hard way, is you have to turn on the automation, the toggle automation, which is this. It's got the little 2 dot up and down. Turn that on and your VCA should show up if you have one. So, and then you do have to kind of drag this window. You got to be right on the right pixel, right there. Nope, not there. Yeah, nope. This is something like, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so this has to be, it's going to start you out like that where your bus is visible and you've got a little slider here. You can slide over to see it like that, or you can get it on like the right pixel. Give me like 10 tries to do this. Geez, that is just super annoying. Yeah, there's probably a way. There we go. Okay, there's probably a better way to do that. But make sure this is on. Make sure you have your automation in right latch. I like to do a return on stop and then enable the fader EQ compression, and you can actually do a fader ride. This is the artistic side of mixing where you actually get to touch stuff, touch the fader in real time. So we're just going to do this with a mouse real quick. What I'm going to be doing is watching the screen, watching my tracks, and I'm going to be riding this fader up and down to bring up the level of lines that are lower volume, and anything that's higher volume or maybe needs to be ducked a little bit, I'll do that. Generally, it takes practice to do this, but you can kind of do it just in real time.
Hey man, you have it?
Yeah.
Look, if you don't want to sell, I get it. The boss just said you needed the money.
Protect this. Keep it safe. Someday you might need it.
Wait. Here.
500's a deal. And that's only because that's out of the goodness of your old employer's heart. He knows how hard things have been since you left the business.
Well,
PayPal okay? You know, friends and family, no fees.
whatever. It's Rainbow 69 420.
Good deal. You be sure to tell Sarah hi for us, all right?
Protect this.
Okay, so I know I just didn't really talk while I was doing that, which is what you want to do. But if you scroll down to your VCA, you'll see kind of the work you did, which, let me make this super big. And the nice thing about doing a VCA like this is, you know, this VCA is controlling the pre-bus level of all these tracks. And it just creates one nice line of automation, which you can go back and adjust. You can see for Kyle, he's the guy you see with the blue vest and black hat. He, you know, his projection during the scene is pretty low. So I tried to help him out by bringing his lines up. And then I did duck a little bit on this cut from the wide to the mid shot just because the boom is more present. So I wanted to try to balance those out a little bit. But you end up with kind of like a mountain range of peaks and valleys that don't have to be big moves. You know, they can be 2-3 dB. You can also go onto the individual tracks. For example, if I wanted to bring up this line here. And one thing that's cool about Fairlight is you can actually see these lines move in real time after you do the VCA pass.
Wait. Here.
So here, you know, I probably want to just bring the lav up. You can do that with breakpoints like this.
Here.
Or if you wanted to, you could do it with, go to lav 1. Let's scroll over here and just bring that fader up.
Here.
Like that. That's another way to do it.
Here.
500.
So there, you know, you use the VCA to kind of level things out overall, and then you can always go back and bring up certain lines that need to be boosted just individually on the tracks. And a great trick for that is leave the booms pretty flat and use the lavs to work the lines in and out, because the lavs tend to have less noise in the track. So yeah, so if I wanted to, I could go through and do more, you know, do some EQ work on stuff, but I always ask that question. I'm going to keep going back to, why am I doing something? Am I doing it just to say I touched everything with an EQ, or am I doing it because it actually needs it? So always ask yourself that. Does this need to be radically EQ'd? Does it need noise reduction? You know, or maybe it just needs a little volume up or down. That's usually like the most important thing. Now, I will say, when you get to the point of adding music and Foley and sound effects, you're going to have to go back and readjust things. Because, for example, if there's music under this whole scene, you might start to lose some of the lower level dialogue. So that's why it's good to just keep stuff live. You know, don't like export down mixes of stuff. Just keep it all in one project so that you can go and fine tune things as the other elements come in. Because you might be waiting on, you know, scored music or needle drop music or background effects or sound effects. You know, you don't know what's going to happen with the mix until you have all the tracks. You know, I keep going back to the dialogue edit. A good dialogue edit makes for a great dialogue mix. If you shortchange the dialogue edit, the mix is not going to sound very good, because you're going to be just troubleshooting bad edits the whole time. So please take the time to do a good dialogue edit. And, you know, that way, when you do get to the mixing stage, it's just that much easier. And even if you're sending this out for somebody else to mix, they're going to appreciate the time that you've put into really smoothing the transitions out, and selecting the mics and cleaning things up. So if you want a shortcut to a mix template, I'll post a link to this on my website. You can download it there, but I always tell people try to build your own, because you'll know how it's set up. You'll be able to troubleshoot things, and you'll also be able to tweak things for each project. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you on the next video.